It's market day! I finally get to say that. Hi, my name is Michelle and I am the creator of Bobble Stitch Queen. Welcome or welcome back. As you can see, I've got my vehicle loaded up and this is my first market for 2025. We get to start setting up at 9 o'clock and the market runs from 11 to 5. Today is Saturday, April the 12th. One thing that I'm super excited about is this is the first time I've been able to load up for my market in my new vehicle, which is an SUV. Normally I've been loading up in a small Hyundai Sonata. I've been able to make it work, but it was nice to be able to load things up much easier. I was able to leave things up together. So let's get to the market and I will show you all my setup and some footage throughout the day. Hopefully I won't get too busy to not be able to do that. Well, I do want to get busy, but my daughter said that she'll help me film, so let's get to it. We are at the craft show. We're setting up. I've got everything out of my car and brought to my booth. So I'm going to show y'all kind of a quick relapse of us of us setting up. Some of the sewing stuff is my daughter's and then mine is the crochet. And speaking of crochet, she just learned to crochet a few days ago and she's been crocheting octos and turtles and axolotls. So before long, her stuff will be selling with mine. We have been open for an hour and we've only made one sale, which I was kind of worried about this and it being slow because we're on spring break this week, so people are still traveling, but hopefully it'll pick up. But I had to do a quick update because I can't really film a lot because there is live music here and I was afraid of copyright thing, so I'll film when I can. So it is 2 o'clock and I've at least made my booth fee. It's still been slow, but it's been enjoyable getting to talk with people. My daughter's going to take my camera around to show like the different vendors, so stay tuned to that and see what all's out here. It is currently Wednesday, April the 16th. So my market was on Saturday the 12th, and I didn't record any footage of me packing up because my husband had to come over and help me because we had to get our daughter somewhere by a certain time. So it was kind of like in a rush to get everything packed up and leave. So sorry, didn't get any footage of that. Didn't get to show you, the footage of what had sold. But was it a successful or unsuccessful market? It was not very successful. The booth fee was $100, and this is the second year that they've had this event. And there were 3 other crocheters there, I believe. And I had a customer come up towards the end, and he was like, "Your stuff is beautiful." He said, "I think," because he asked me if, it'd been busy or not. I was like, "No, it's been really slow." And he said, that was when he said, "Your stuff is beautiful." He said, "I think what the issue is with your booth," he said, "because they've got you in the back." And yes, this event was outside, but how it is in that area is there is a parking structure. And it's free parking at that parking structure. And I think it's like 4 stories or 5 floors of parking. So it's a pretty big parking structure. And that was on the far end of where I was at. So customers and people that are coming to this event are parking at that parking structure. So as they come out, they're seeing those booths. They're like right there at the beginning, and pretty much all 3 of those crocheters were at that far end near that parking structure, where I was like all the way in the back corner. So that definitely affected my sales. Will I do this event again? I don't know. I would have to message them next year when I get the email out telling me to apply and stuff, and I would have to ask, "Hey, could I have a different booth closer to the parking structure, because this was the issue?" And I know they can't put everybody there by the parking structure, but if you've got a total of 4 crocheters, don't put one all the way to the very back. Kind of have them spaced out evenly up the front by the parking structure, or have them all to the back. And I know you don't want them side by side, but that definitely affected my sales, I believe. Number 2 of what that same customer said, he, complimented me and said that my stuff looked really good, compared to the other booths, but we all sell the same thing, which is definitely true. I know for a fact that a lot of crocheters sell the same thing, because turtles are a big hit. Axolotls are a big hit. I mean, cows, unicorns, and you can only crochet so many animals in different ways or whatever. So I've really been trying to think outside of the box, come up with some different things to sell so that I stand out at these markets. One thing that my number 1 seller, even though I didn't sell a whole lot, my number 1 seller at my market was Build Your Own No Fuss Friends. Let me grab my sheet real quick. So my Build Your Own No Fuss Friends, I used to have these already made up and sell them. And I have been selling these. This is my 3rd year of doing markets. I've been selling these since my 1st year of doing markets, because I crocheted a 40-gallon fish aquarium back in 2019, I believe. Because I remember that because it was before, no, it was actually 2020. Because it was before I had my arm surgery for my carpal tunnel. And I had that in maybe it's 2021. Crap, I don't know. It was 2021 because I did my temperature blanket too that year. And I crocheted a 40-gallon fish aquarium for my house. And I got that idea from my daughter. She was like, "Mom, you need to crochet a fish aquarium." So I did that. And then people were like, "You need to sell this." Of course, I'm not going to sell a 40-gallon fish aquarium. But I thought, I'm going to go on a smaller scale So I did the small fish bowl with little rocks and a pet, like a fish or a frog or whatever. So they did really well. And then this year, because it's kind of a hassle of hauling that from my house to a market where they're already built, this year I decided to build your own, kind of like, the store at, Opry Mills where you build your own stuffed animal. And I decided to build your own No Fuss Friend. So this is what I had, and pick your bowl, and I've got glass or plastic, and then you pick your ocean floor, and I've got where you can choose rocks or a crochet bottom, then pick your plant, same thing, crocheted or it's a little plastic plant, and then pick your animal. So this right here was my #1 seller at my market on Saturday. I only sold 5. Like I said, it was a slow market. So I sold 5 of these, so that was my #1 seller. And then my next best thing that I sold were my mystery bags, and I sold 4 of those. And my mystery bags are just, which you can go back and watch the video and see them there. So that was the next #1 or next best seller, was the mystery bags. And then pretty much I had a tie with selling 2 items of each of these, and that was, I sold 2 keychains, and then I sold 2 possums, and then the rest of my items were selling 1 of each, and I sold 1 of my one and only alien in a ship. I sold my cardinal. I sold 1 dashboard duck. I had a funky Elmo where I did a pattern test a few weeks ago. I sold that. I sold 1 flamingo. I had a little flower girl doll that I sold. I sold 1 mini manta ray, 1 mermaid doll. I sold a tiny mouse. And then I had a possum lovey that I sold. I had 1 snake that I sold. I sold my 1 turtle succulent. I sold my 1 turtle blueberry, my 1 turtle strawberry, and they were small. So that is all I sold. So as you can tell, it was a very, very slow market. But that is okay. Every market is not going to be successful. And actually, this is my first market that was not successful in the 3 years. Previous 2 years, I always did well, was happy with what I made. This one, of course, I was not happy with what I made, but I still made a profit, and I still had fun, and I still enjoyed my day. It was a beautiful day. The sun was shining. I mean, it was the first, really beautiful day, because we had experienced a lot of rain, storms, tornado warnings, where we've been taking cover because of tornado warnings. So it just felt good to get outside, be out in the open, interact with people, and just enjoy the day. So that's what I got to take it as a positive note, that, I was able to spend the day with my daughter, and she has actually learned to crochet, which is a big plus. So she's going to start selling some things at the market. Of course, doing different things for me. But I mean, I still had fun. I can't complain. I was definitely blessed in the situation one way or another. So yeah, that is the recap for that market. I have been working this week. I've had 3 pattern tests. I've got 2 of them done, and then I got selected for another pattern test last night, so I've got to work on it, but it's not due till the 21st. And this Friday, the school that my husband works at, they're having their, they call it Spring Fling, kind of like a fall festival, but it's in the spring, and they call it Spring Fling. And I get to sit up there because I messaged the PTO, and I was like, hey, I remember last year you all having a few booths of, selling little mini cakes and the freeze-dried candy. Would it be okay if I set up a booth selling my crochet plushies, and if so, how much? And they were like, you can set up for free. We would love to have you. Because also my husband takes my crocheted items into the school and passes them out to kids that, need them, or done, like, it's like a little reward system because they're little crochet plushies. So I am so excited about setting up at that. I may try to film some footage, but then again, I don't want to get other people's kids on camera, so I may not be able to do much, but I can't wait to see what this is going to do. So if you have a kid that goes to a school and they have a spring fling or fall festival, don't be afraid to reach out to the PTO that's putting it on and ask, can I set up? Because you never know. I wasn't expecting to get a yes, and that I get to set up for free. So super excited about that, and to see how well that does. I know I need to focus on small things. I am not going to take my build your own no fuss friends though, because I got to thinking, I can remember, and my husband made the point that when our kids were smaller at these fall festivals, we got tired of wagging around, at the time, the goldfish in the bag of water, that it was annoying. And I was like, I don't want these parents to be annoyed by carrying this little bowl around of a no fuss friend, whereas a little plushie, it's no big deal. They can carry it around. So I will let you all know how that goes. So that's what's going on so far this week. I've also got 4 custom orders to work on and get those done. So it's definitely been busy, and I'm still trying to figure out on managing my time with everything of now being a full-time stay-at-home mom, and figuring out my crochet business and setting priorities and stuff. We're busy with softball and volleyball right now. So it's definitely busy, but I know I'll get into a routine and figure it out. I just have to be patient and give myself grace, because it's a learning experience. So thank you so much. About knocked my crochet hook thing off over here. But yeah, thank you so much for sticking around and chatting with me and experiencing my first market recap with you all. It's been fun, and until next time,